Welcome to the collision of faith, politics, and culture. This is Jared, and you're watching Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Sanity. Today's video is going to be a short one, but we're going to focus on patriotism, what it is, what it's not, and why I think, sadly, it's become a partisan issue. So let's dive in. Patriotism, what is it? We're going to read right here what the definition of patriotism is. This is by Stephen Nathanson, who wrote a book on the subject in '93. He defined it as a special affection for one's own country, a sense of personal identification with the country, special concern for the well-being of the country, a willingness to sacrifice to promote the country's good. So I think here's a thought experiment that I went through mostly during this election season, honestly. Imagine you pull up to a stoplight, and imagine the person in front of you has a giant American flag, either hanging from it or on the rear windshield. If I gave you $1,000, if you were to guess which candidate that person voted for in the election, who would you say they voted for? I think for me, and it could be geographical. I hang out in the West, so maybe it's just out West. But based on all the media I've watched, I think the American flag has become a symbol of the right. And the patriotism movement, the patriot movement, a lot of things that feed into that, I think have become a right-leaning idea. And I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a positive. I think in years past, I think both parties were very patriotic. They loved their country. They said they loved their country out loud a lot. They just had different ways on which to fix the problems. And now you have people on the left. I'll show a couple other examples to kind of make that point. Andrew Cuomo says America was never that great, right? Ilhan Omar talking about systemic racism. She says, we are not merely fighting to tear down the systems of oppression in the criminal justice system, she said. We are fighting to tear down systems of oppression that exist in housing and education and healthcare and employment in the air we breathe. So she really, and I think this is a sentiment of I would love to say fringe left. I wish it was a fringe left idea, but when you have AOC on magazine covers every other month and sitting with Pelosi, and Pelosi refuses to say anything about some of these comments, I don't think it's a fringe belief anymore. I think it's become a lot more mainstream on the left. I think the right has its fringe, but I don't see the right's fringe getting put on magazine covers. Let's just be honest. So I think there's a big danger in one side owning the patriotism. And you may say, maybe they have different views on ways of doing patriotism, but when you say that the air that we breathe in this country is systemically wrong and evil, when you say this country has never been great, I think you kind of have to wonder if they have a special affection for one's own country. And so I think the push for me is to get, if you're on the left, let's say you're left of center and you're listening to this and you go, that is not me. I love this country. I want what's best for it. I'm just, I have different ideas about it. I think that is fantastic. And I have friends and family in that category. What I would encourage them is speak to the people to the left of you and push that, right? And get them on board saying, hey, instead of trying to tear it down, try to build it up. And believe you me, we as a country have a history of problems. And guess what? We're going to continue to have problems into the future. But if we cannot agree that this country is honestly the best country, in my humble opinion, that has existed in mankind, as far as the treatment of everyone being treated equally under the law. And you can argue before 1960s, that I agree, there was massive issues in this country. We have taken steps as a nation to move past that. And we have issues now. I'm not saying we don't have issues. The basis from which you start, though, is very important. And before, I know there's some of you out here, I grew up getting Jesus juked a lot, that are going to say, well, Jared, you're a Christian. Your citizenship is in heaven, not on the earth. Let's read this little snippet from Jeremiah 29. Says, This is what the Lord of armies, the God of Israel, says to all the exiles whom I have sent into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat their produce. Take wives and father sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, so that they may give birth to sons and grow in numbers there and do not decrease. Seek the prosperity of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its prosperity will be your prosperity. And I think that has a lot of parallels to where we are now as Christians. Our citizenship is in heaven, yes, but we are, I believe, called, just like Daniel in Babylon, right? We are called to seek the prosperity of where we've been put. And if this country falls, there's not another country that will take its place. We need to fight as believers. We need to fight as the right. We need to fight as the left. We need to come together and fight for the good of this country. Because if this one goes, it's a long way down. So anyways, just a little word of patriotism encouragement for your day. Get out there and, jump in the comments. Tell me what you think. Thank you guys for watching, and look forward to talking to you later. Bye.